are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. They are not intended in any way to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.
Welcome to Weight Loss Conversations, brought to you by 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions. Your hosts, Bradley Butterfield, Marlene Sexton, and Brandy Wiltermuth, have over 30 years' experience treating health issues associated with excess body weight. Get ready for an in-depth, honest discussion about weight loss and your health. Be sure to visit our website at 3.health. That's THREE.health.
Welcome to Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions. I'm Brad Butterfield, the Executive Director and a practicing psychotherapist, and with me today are my 2 partners, Brandy Wiltermuth, ARNP, and the Medical Director with 3 Health.
Good morning.
And Marlene Sexton.
Good morning.
Marlene is also a practicing psychotherapist with 3 Health, and she's our Director of Therapy. We have a special guest this morning. Her name is Susie. Susie is a patient with 3 Health. She has been, Susie, how long have you been a patient with 3 Health?
Since November 20th.
Really? November 20th. Wow. It's been great to have you here in our clinic.
Thank you.
So we're going to just have a conversation with Susie, and we have a number of questions for her, and she's going to tell us how her experience has been here with the clinic. So, Brandy, I know you have some questions for Susie. Why don't you get started?
Okay. So, Susie, can you tell me what your highest weight ever was?
2 pounds heavier than when I first came to you in November. So it was 170.
Okay. So, in your entire life, that's the most you ever weighed?
That's when I was a very unhappy teenager.
Okay. Okay. So you're heavier as a younger person.
Just for a short period of time, it shot up, and then I got a handle on it again.
Okay. And when you were younger, how did you lose weight?
I got away from my parents and a housekeeper that served cinnamon buns the size of a dinner plate every morning.
Okay. So you changed your eating.
And changed my environment.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
And then through adulthood, you kind of maintained a steady weight?
I did, because I was really athletic.
Okay.
I was a hiker and a climber, and I suffered at a very young age from arthritis and started, I took up weightlifting. I just became a gym rat and went to the gym a lot, and I mean a lot. Like for years I went like 5 times a week and ran on the weekends.
Okay. And how long did you kind of maintain that weight?
Until actually 2010, when I had to get a hip replacement.
Okay. So that was kind of a turning point for you.
Well, that, and combine that with menopause, and you have the perfect storm.
Yeah, menopause is a very common trigger.
Yeah.
So you started with us in November. We did a body composition at that time, and you've had some amazing results on your body composition, I would have to say. Better than sometimes we even expect, because we really try to maintain muscle mass, and you've done really well at doing that. So you started off at around 27% body fat.
That's right.
And as of today, you're down to what?
It was 21. Yeah.
That is quite
Which
phenomenal.
is much better. Especially because I've only recently been able to exercise.
Right.
Because of my arthritis and a couple of injuries that were arthritis related. Yeah.
Okay. So your overall weight loss so far is about 30 pounds.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
So that's 30 pounds in about 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
very
great.
surprising
That's
to
great.
me.
Yeah. Why is it surprising?
Well, I know that you've heard this before, but it was really easy weight loss for me. I had been trying on my own. The motivator was I went to my orthopedic surgeon because my arthritis was so bad, and I thought I was going to need another hip and a knee. And I asked him, well, and I was taking finally was taking an arthritis medication for about the last year, but it wasn't working anymore. And so I asked him, what else can I do? I don't want to go through those surgeries. And he said, well, I don't mean to sound mean, but you could start by losing the 16 pounds you've gained since you got your hip. And I went, I gained 16 pounds. Really? And he like showed me the chart, and I went, oh, okay. He said that, that's not a lot. It's a couple pounds a year, which overall I was telling myself, well, 2 pounds a year. That's not that big a deal when you have menopause, and I've had 2 knee surgeries, and I had a long period of time in there where I couldn't exercise at all and was wearing some sort of brace or apparatus somewhere. So I decided that I would give it a go, and I tried for about 4 weeks on my own, and
What were you trying?
Was it getting, well, I remember you asked me what I do for breakfast, and I told you the truth. Breakfast has been the hardest thing for me. I get up at 5 every day, and I can't stand the thought of food until 10 every day. And you kept saying breakfast, I'm like, ugh. But I tried breakfast. I was eating a half a cup of Special K and a half a cup of skim milk and a half a cup of raspberries. And I was very proud of myself that I was eating that every day. And I remember distinctly you said, that's probably the worst breakfast you could have.
Well, let me guess, because it was mostly carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, it was low fat, and raspberries are full of vitamin C, And I just went, seriously. So that's been the biggest change for me. But for the most part, I eat what I always ate, what I always like. I didn't have a problem with junk foods or, crackers. We don't go out for burgers and French fries and pizza and stuff. So I was eating, I love meat. I love meat. So I ate meat or fish, and I hate cooked vegetables. It's a family thing. So, but I'll eat any of them raw. So I ate salad and meat. The problem was I ate one humongous meal once a day.
Mm-hmm. So, Susie, you've been a working professional most of your adult life.
Yes.
So what's been really common with a lot of my patients, and I'd like you to speak to this, are you one of those people that go all day long and doesn't feed themselves?
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, because I'm out the door.
Yeah.
I'm out the door early in the morning, hours before I care about food or want any food. Mm-hmm. I do, however, consistently have 2 double lattes every morning. I live in an area that you can't buy them, so I'm very good at making them myself. And then I just get busy. I'm a designer, so I visit clients and showrooms, and I guess what would be normal lunchtime, meetings always run long. People are late. There's a problem with your order, so you end up just hauling from one location to the next location, and by about 3 o'clock, I'm absolutely starved. So I would swing, if I was lucky enough to swing through a Starbucks, I'd have another double latte and get something chocolate just to get a jolt.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
You were running all day with a lot of caffeine running through you.
Yeah.
Getting fueled up that way, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was it, and the skim milk. And then I'm in other people's houses. You can't whip out your lunch bucket. And, do you mind if I just feed myself here? Mm-hmm. So I just kept going, and then I would get home at 6 or 7, and apparently what I was eating should have been serving a family of 4.
So portions were an issue for you.
Portions are a huge issue for me.
Super hungry at that point.
Yeah, I could eat a pound of steak easily.
Yeah.
Yep. Or 4 lamb chops.
And then after that, did you go for any sweets?
I'm a big snob about sweets because I had a bakery for a while years ago, and so it has to be made out of real things and homemade. And so I've given up baking because then you're home alone with the rest of the cake.
Right.
So I don't do that anymore. But my drug of choice is Haagen-Dazs coffee-flavored ice cream. Mm. It's just that flavor. If that's not available, I really don't eat it. I won't eat other brands. 5 ingredients, so I can tell myself. And they're things that you
it's
can
pronounce.
Yes, it's milk, and it's eggs, and it's sugar, and I'm afraid of artificial sugars and artificial stuff. I don't eat that. So I was telling myself that it was actually a lovely, healthy dairy product that had some protein. And I was probably, to be honest, eating 4 or 5 or 6 maybe pints a week at bedtime. Usually in bed, so there's no further exercise or anything involved.
And that's not that uncommon. We see that pattern quite a bit, especially when people haven't eaten much during the day. But I don't know if it's necessarily hunger-driven at that point because you've eaten a larger meal.
No, it was my addiction. It was my drug. I ate it when I was happy. I ate it when I was sad. I ate it when I was bored. I ate it when I was busy. So I'd be typing with one hand and spooning it in with the other. That was the food that I used. It was my all-occasion item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also not uncommon, and part of the reason why we insist on a strong behavioral component in our weight loss clinic. What you said is not unique to you, and of course people may have different drugs of choice.
Yes.
But it almost always revolves around sugar of some kind.
Yeah.
So how would you say that is going in itself, your kind of addiction to sugar?
It was surprisingly much easier than I expected. Only in the last couple weeks, as I'm starting to add a few things back in and working more towards maintenance, have I even thought about it at all? Or I told Alexa earlier that I saw an ad for Haagen-Dazs, and I kind of teared up.
Yeah. So
I was like, it was nostalgic. I'm like, oh.
So that really
talks about a relationship with food that we look at.
And the grieving of the loss of that food, which some people would scoff at, but
it's real.
We see it.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's time for us to take a break. This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health. We're going to take a break, and I think when we come back, Marlene, you made a great point. Maybe we'll pick up with emotional relationships with food.
Okay.
With decades of experience helping patients change their lives, 3 Health Weight Loss Solutions can help you too. At 3 Health, we provide proven and science-based solutions for realistic, achievable, and sustainable results. We're unique, just like you, and the relationships you have with food and yourself. Find out how we treat obesity, depression, high cholesterol, and more. Just give us a call and change your life today. 425-606-0022. Or visit us online at 3.health. That's THREE.health.
On the path to good health and well-being? Alternative Talk 1150 is the station for you.
So we're back after our break. We're having a conversation with one of our patients. She's so graciously joining us today. Her name is Susie, and she became a patient of 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions in November. And it's great to have you here, Susie.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in.
Yes, thank you.
And it's really cool to hear your story, and also to see your results. We have been measuring those on our in-body machine, and not only have you had great weight loss, your biometrics, the change in your body fat percentages and your lean muscle mass have been really phenomenal, and especially in a 4-month period. They've been extraordinary. And so just before the break, we were talking about your favorite emotional food or food.
Yes.
And you were talking about Haagen-Dazs was it Haagen-Dazs coffee?
Coffee flavor. I was that big a snob. It needed to be coffee flavor. Yeah.
Okay, coffee flavored ice cream. And then Marlene mentioned about grieving some of our favorite food types, especially those that surrounding sugar. So Marlene, pick up again with that.
Well, it's a real thing. We see it frequently. Susie said it sounds weird that I teared up on a commercial for it, but that's actually kind of normal. People develop a relationship with food. This is my go-to food. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it's food that, we shouldn't go to very often. And they've associated or generalized it to, this is how I know the day is over, or this is how I comfort feelings. This is what I eat after I visit the in-laws. And then we say, that's not serving you well. And we'll help them through the grief cycle. It's a real deal.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of interventions that we use to help them through the grief of losing a food or cutting back on it if that's the case.
What I think is amazing, and I've mentioned before, kind of the aha moment of why I realized, or how I realized we needed a behavioral component, was that if I'm looking at your body composition results, I think, wow, this person must be kind of on cloud nine, so happy about this and what they've accomplished. But you're telling me that actually now is when some of those cravings are starting to reoccur.
Very strange. And I just keep reminding myself, one of the most important things I learned from you in all of this is that I didn't have a lot of knowledge about what anti-inflammatory eating really meant. And pretty much everything I'd read started off with the same things: no dairy, and my nickname has always been the Dairy Princess, and I'm like, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And then no wine or alcohol. And we collect when I am not going to say no to a glass of Leonetti's, not now, not ever. And I know that that's not going to, it's not sustainable for me. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that my arthritis was what I'd read is it's affected by those two things: dairy, alcohol, and gluten and flour and those things. So I've eliminated a lot of those things already. Mm-hmm. I don't eat a lot of those.
I think when you came, you'd already gotten rid of gluten.
Pretty much, yeah. I was shocked when you said, well, it's not the carbs you need to worry about. Sugar is your number one enemy. And I went, really? Because I was, here I was skipping the carbs. I wouldn't have rice with my dinner, but I would eat my Haagen-Dazs because that's protein with egg and milk. Of course, I never bothered to actually really look at the label, that it's almost 900 calories. And, I don't know, 85% of them are too fat, and all the rest is 50 grams of sugar or something.
Right.
And one of the things, Susie, that we've often noted is that, in fact, I think we spoke about this last week, is that the head follows behind the body. Mm-hmm. So you've had significant, wonderful results in your body. You've lost significant weight, and you've had great changes in your body composition. And then you mentioned in the last couple of weeks you've had some emotional responses, some head responses regarding the Haagen-Dazs. And that is truly your head now emotionally following these positive body responses. It's very common, very typical how your emotions and head will start following or start catching up with the body responses. And this is really common. People are curious about that. I'm having great results with my body, and then all of a sudden I'm having being flooded with emotions with this, and that is truly the head following the results of the body. It's curious, but very common. Very typical.
Well, and I think, too, maybe on this, for the first time ever, with any kind of weight loss thing, I'm looking at it truly as a lifestyle thing. I mean, the improvement in my arthritis, I can't even say improvement in arthritis. I have suffered from it for 15 long, miserable years, and it's gone for almost 4 weeks now, not a single thing has hurt, even though it's been so cold and so wet, and usually this time of year I am just stricken and miserable, and it's absolutely gone. So I'm trying to work. So I think maybe part of my grief is thinking I'm just not going to be able to do those sugar things ever again if I want to keep feeling like this. So I've got this little thing going on in my head. Do you want to have a bowl of Haagen-Dazs, or do you want to be able to get out of this chair by yourself? And getting out of the chair is totally winning. There's some struggle with it a little bit, but I'm really trying to look at sugar now as it is the enemy of the rest of my life. It's the enemy of, if I want to feel good, I have to stay away from that particular addiction for me. And
So
I was
what if
really
somebody
addicted.
said, why don't you just have a little bit of Haagen-Dazs?
Well, I am an addictive personality. I'm a former smoker, and I really struggled with quitting. I would do really well, and I mean for 3 or 4 years. And then an old acquaintance, or a slippery slope, someone I used to drink coffee and chain smoke with or something will show up, or a new neighbor that smoked like crazy that became a good friend, and I would think I could have one. And I backslid. And so now I know I'm just one of those people that can't. I was addicted to Nestle's quick chocolate milk in my early 20s, remember that? I had to give it up, badly. I was gaining weight like crazy. I had to give it up cold turkey, and I've never touched it again. Because I know if I have one...
So do you think you were probably addicted to sugar early in your life and then maybe transfer that addiction to smoking and nicotine?
Smoking and nicotine, I think, helped me keep my weight at one of the things that ex-smokers realize too is that a cigarette used to signal the end of a meal. And so now, when is the meal over? Well, it's over when the Haagen-Dazs carton is empty.
Right. Yeah.
Then it's over. So, yeah.
So that's something that we see quite often is kind of a transference addiction from food or alcohol or other things to
something else.
Something else.
Yeah.
So it's important to look at, what is this doing? What is it serving? It's telling me the day is over. It's telling me that, I can now relax. And so that's really what we have to look at with people and their addictions.
And we have to find a replacement.
Oh, I have found a replacement. I do your program hot chocolate at bedtime with an instant coffee in it to.
So you're having like a mocha?
Yeah.
With protein in it?
With protein. Yeah, so that's my new thing.
Good. And it obviously hasn't stalled your weight loss or...
No, and it has a little bit of that coffee flavor, and it has a little bit of chocolate flavor. And those are the only two, I miss the ice cream, and I do miss, an 80% dark chocolate now and then is a lovely thing. But I'm just afraid to even go there. I think maybe someday, way in the future, but right now I'm just not going to even tempt
just
myself.
Not ready to try it out yet.
No.
Do you think people seeing food in general or sugar in particular find this an absurd or maybe even kind of an alien idea that they could be addicted to food or sugar? I mean, we've accepted that societally with certain substances or alcohol.
Yeah, what
or
I hear
nicotine.
from clients a lot is that I can't be addicted to food because we need food. And I agree with them. I don't think it's food that they're addicted to because they're not eating like excessive amounts of Brussels sprouts. I think it's sugar, and probably sugar, fat, and salt combination that's in everything that's ever been prepared. But I think it's a sugar addiction, and when you get rid of sugar, then once it's out of your system, just like with any addiction, then you start looking at, what did it serve and what do I do instead, and do I need to look at this more closely? so that you don't develop a transference addiction to something else.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's not food that people get addicted to, because we do need food. But do we need sugar?
Right.
I don't think so.
Well, and sugar replaced, something sweet. My father was a terrible alcoholic until late in life, and he was always very slim, and he finally quit drinking, and within about 6 months, he looked like Santa Claus. I mean, and I went to visit him, and every drawer, he would buy full-size candy bars, bags and bags and bags. Every drawer was full of candy. His glove box fell open, candy tumbled out. I opened his refrigerator. He had 12, I'm not exaggerating, 12 boxes of Marie Callender pies in there. And I'm like, Dad, you're going to die. And actually, he did.
Was he diabetic?
No, but he was dangerously close when he passed. But he was always a very slim person, but he gave up that much alcohol.
Yeah, that's a real classic transference addiction with alcoholics. Well, they'll switch to sugar, and caffeine is a biggie too.
Right. Not to give anybody any ideas out there, but a lot of times after having bariatric surgery, because food really isn't an option, people will end up going to other things like shopping and gambling.
I think we saw that about 35% of the time
Yes.
with somebody having bariatric surgery. That's why it's really important to get behavioral counseling before, so you can start preparing, and then certainly afterwards to avoid a transference addiction. And shopping was a big one.
Well,
That's why you asked me at our last meeting. So have you been doing a lot of shopping? Well, and I thought that was an odd question, but my answer is yes, because I went, nothing fits. I went down almost 6 sizes.
And that's
so I
how
have
people
been buying
start.
clothes.
That's how people start, because especially with the surgery and they have rapid weight loss that's pretty profound, they don't have a choice about whether they're going to go find new clothes or not. And it's frequent, right, because they're changing so rapidly. So it's, it's a logical thing that people end up getting into, but then at some point, they're buying stuff for everybody, and it has nothing to do with their own size or their own clothes. And I've even had people, part of a way to address that and to kind of break that is online shopping is very dangerous for those people. So what I have them do is put things in the cart and then come back the next day, and if they still really want to buy it, then they can buy it. But most people are just looking for that rush, getting the deal and making this happen right then and there. So if they can delay it a little bit, they do a little bit better with avoiding that.
Yeah, and there are some other interventions we use for people if I had it in the shopping cart and I waited 24 hours and I bought it anyway. Sometimes I'll have them give their credit card to somebody else, and they have to ask for it. But because it is a serious thing, any transference addiction is. So.
It's time for us to take another break. This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health. We've been having a conversation with one of our patients, Susie, who's been gracious enough to join us this day. She's had wonderful success in our program, and we've been talking with her about sugar and her fondness for Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and a little bit her surprise 4 months later about some of the emotions that she struggled with over the loss of ice cream, and how sometimes the mind follows behind the success of the body in the weight loss. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Introducing 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions, a unique weight loss clinic backed by real medical research with a treatment focusing on the entire person, mind, body, and spirit. From medical services for obesity and high blood pressure to behavioral services for emotional eating and depression, 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions can help you change your relationship with food, your relationship with yourself, and with life. Find out more, 425-606-0022. Or online at 3.health. That's 3.health.
Bringing good vibes to the Puget Sound and the world. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back. This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health. Before the break, we were talking about, with our patient Susie, about sometimes the disparity between the head and the body. The body can be very successful with weight loss, and the head sometimes lags a little bit behind emotionally. Susie, during the break, I was curious and was asking you, you started our program in November, and it occurs to me that then we started what we call our holiday season, Thanksgiving, and then into the Christmas holiday season, right up in through New Year's, and you've had really good success.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you about the holiday season, because several things are happening. You're being invited probably to social gatherings, or you may have you and your partner may have work obligations where you're being invited to functions where there's lots of food and drink, alcohol. How did you handle that and continue to be successful through that 6-week time frame?
I actually thought that it was pretty easy because the foods that I eat on this program, I don't want to say get to eat, but the suggestions is what I love. I mean, we went to a ton of parties. We personally had Thanksgiving at our house. We had a huge annual Christmas open house. Nobody there realized that we were, dieting, and I'm saying that with air quotes. But I mean, we ate so well. We ate roast beef. I'm not a big stuffing person, and potatoes, and I like meat. If you love meat, this diet, you'll love this diet. And so scallops and prawns, and we raise oysters and beef, and it's pretty easy. I try to drink more water. That's something that Brandy's been on me about, and I know I'm a slacker. But it really does help you fill up. It does help space the wine. And my thing now is quality of food instead of quantity of food. I mean, I find that one really fabulous lamb chop or 4 or 5 really well-prepared scallops are so much more satisfying than other things, and I care more about my salads now, which has made, I used to just rip open a bag of salad and grill something, and that's kind of how I ate anyway. So mostly because so busy, and during the week I'm home alone, and I'm not going to cook some fancy low carb and low anti-inflammatory thing for myself. I just throw something on the barbecue and open a bag of salad. But now, I spend some time with the salad and make that the deal. And also, I eat everything on my plate except for the meat first. Meat is my dessert at the end of the meal now, because when Brandy showed me that my dinner steak, she said I could still have a 12-ounce steak. I had to cut it into 3 or 4 pieces and eat it all day long. And the first time I actually did that, because I don't weigh things or anything now, but I actually did weigh it in the beginning so that I had a real visual on what 4 ounces of steak looked like. And I was horrified. That's like 2 bites of what I normally ate. So now I just pile on the salad, and I save my fats up for dressing, because I don't like vinegar or lemon juice. I have blue cheese, or I have Caesar. So I eat a massive amount of of salad. And then I find that there have been a few occasions where I couldn't finish the meat. I was so full. Whereas before, I would sit down and I would eat my 12 or 14 or maybe 5 lamb chops, and I would eat those, and the salad's sitting there in a bowl, and now I'm stuffed, and the salad goes back in the fridge.
Right. Good strategy.
It's working for me.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, if you're into chefing, your meat actually gets to rest instead of me wolfing it down while steam is still piling off of it.
Yeah.
So
adding the fat to your salads is also, as much as I say it to people, it's really hard for them to comprehend that is what they should be doing on this type of plan.
Yeah, it's still, I've been working the program for a while, a month or 6 weeks or something, and I still argue with myself that this is okay. You're supposed to have blue cheese and not lemon juice on it.
You can have lemon too. But.
You can have lemon. It's like I never liked it. I associate it with diet food now. But yeah, it's hard to wrap your brain around that because of the anti-fat diet mentality.
Yeah, the last 50 years of fat is evil and it's going to kill you.
Yeah. And mushrooms. So I take my tiny piece of meat and I smother it with my unlimited mushrooms, sauteed in butter. I'm like, somewhere in there's a small piece of meat. And
I always think it's funny how when people come in and they look at the vegetable list and they say, you know, I heard that onions are kind of high in sugar. And I always say, well, if it's the onions that are going to undo you, then we got bigger problems because you shouldn't have to really worry about any of those vegetables causing any problems.
Yeah.
Another question I have regarding the holidays, and any time in general, is what about alcohol over the holidays? You go to social occasions, and for most of us, alcohol is being served.
And I've tried to do to have the same philosophy that I do with food. Got to have less because that's where I save my sugars. I save that for wine because we collect wine. We're wine club members. We used to make wine. It's a big part of our social life and a big part of what we enjoy. So, but I've gone to the only the good stuff thing.
Okay.
I mean, if I'll take a sip anymore, and if I don't love it, I don't finish it. And that's a hard thing, especially like if you're in a restaurant or something and you've just paid $10 or $15 for this glass of wine and you take a sip and it's awful, or if I order a cocktail and it's not absolutely delicious, I set it aside. If there's some place that doesn't have any, well, I've gone to dinner a couple times where I just went, no thank you, I'll just have water, because there wasn't anything on the list that was that I felt was worth blowing those grams of sugar on. So the other thing is that if you are doing the medication on the program, at least for me, I can't, even if I wanted to, I can't cheerfully drink as much as I used to because the next morning is horrible. So for me, anyway, 2 glasses of wine, and I'm fine. More than that at a dinner party or something, I make a conscious effort to, and tomorrow you're going to feel like garbage in the morning. And there have been some times that I let it be. It was holidays, those were special occasions. I was having a really good time. I try not to beat myself up about that. And, it didn't seem to make a difference in my progress. I still was just moving
I think
along.
You really address one of the important things that we do at 3 Health is we look at what brings you joy in life. What's your lifestyle like? We're not going to, as humans, we don't give up what brings us joy. But we can work around that and say, okay, so you're not going to give up wine, and we'll look at how you can have wine and still be successful.
Yeah, that's always a question that people ask. Do I have to give up drinking? And first, do you have a problem with it? Because that's a different topic altogether. But if you're talking about social alcohol consumption and something that you really like, then we have to find a way to make it fit, or it's not going to be a lifestyle change that you can live with.
Right. If somebody tells me that they enjoy going out to restaurants, that's a big part of their social life that they enjoy, then we look at that. Probably not going to go to certain places. I'm not going to say names, but we'll find the restaurants that they can.
Olive Garden.
Yeah. Actually, you can make that work too, but it's just a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things I noticed even for myself over the holidays in being self-aware and being mindful of what I'm putting in my mouth is with alcohol is just to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
And as you say, Susie, if you really are enjoying the wine, is you do sip it slower and drink it slower, and you enjoy it rather than same with food is going too fast, and so it's more enjoyable that way too.
Learning
So
to savor it.
yeah, that's right.
Well, and a mixed cocktail, I just got back. I went to Mexico during this, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna lose it down there, because who can lay on the beach and not have a margarita?
Right.
So
It's okay.
We do need to take a break. This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health. We've been with our special guest today, Susie, who's a patient at 3 Health. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
With decades of experience helping patients change their lives, 3 Health Weight Loss Solutions can help you too. At 3 Health, we provide proven and science-based solutions for realistic, achievable, and sustainable results. We're unique, just like you, and the relationships you have with food and yourself. Find out how we treat obesity, depression, high cholesterol, and more. Just give us a call and change your life today. 425-606-0022. Or visit us online at 3.health. That's THREE.health.
You found us. Maybe you've been guided to listen. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back. This is Weight Loss Conversations with 3 Health. We are coming back from our break, and we are with one of our patients today who graciously joined us, Susie, who's been a patient here at 3 Health since November, and she's really had wonderful success. She has not only had really good weight loss, she's had excellent results on her biometrics of losing a significant amount of body fat and gained lean muscle mass. Some of the things that we've been talking about, Susie, what I have found interesting in working with you, which is a very similar story that I hear with a lot of our patients, is you've been a busy working professional most of your adult life, and the story that you tell is so common that you would go all day long, kind of operate on coffee and caffeine, and then get 90% of your eating or your calories in the evening, and how that didn't service you very well. And then we also talked about your fondness for Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream, and even some of the grieving that you went through many weeks or months after you gave that up. And so we kind of talked about emotions and how the mind often follows the success that the body has. And one of the things that I liked that you talked about was how easy this program over the holidays was for you, eating the high-quality proteins and even going out to restaurants. And it's been pretty easy for you to follow our eating and nutrition plan that you've had. Marlene, when we were taking a break and we were talking, you asked Susie some questions, and you'd made some comments about relationship changes.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you've lost a significant amount of weight. Have you had any relationship changes? Anybody that's more attentive or less attentive or angry or jealous? Or
Well, with my partner, Carl, he joined the program. He was watching my success, and he's going, wow, because he's watching what I eat. It's not a significant change in what we ate. And he's eating the same thing, and he's like, this is it. We were going to have this for dinner anyway. And I said, but it's more than that. It's the same foods that we eat, but Brandy shows you how to put them together in a different way to serve you better. And I said, and your plan won't be the same as my plan because we have different health issues. He has high blood pressure and he has high cholesterol. And I'm quite low on both of those, but I have monster arthritis. So we're eating for different goals. And so he's been very supportive, but some of my friends, because I wasn't morbidly obese, so there were the ones that, I'll just be frank, the girls that were bigger than me are like, well, you don't need to use any weight. And then as I kept losing weight, it's like, oh my God, I mean, don't you think that's enough? How small do you want to be? And I'm like, but it's about my arthritis. This is bonus. This is extra. But yeah, there's sarcastic remarks, and there's, well, how thin do you want to go? And
a lot of times people find that it's pretty common that either there's some jealousy about it or some sabotage. You don't need, you might be having a tough moment going, God, I really want that Haagen-Dazs, and somebody might say, well, just have it. You're already too thin. And then we can rationalize real easily that way. So we
response to, it's really body shaming is what is happening there. But a really good response that you can use is, I'm much healthier now. Because it's really hard for people to say, well, stop being so healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to quit being healthy now.
And my answer is, watch me run up these stairs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can do things that I haven't been able to do for years.
Yeah, and if we based our, goals on everybody else's opinions, we'd be all over the place.
I know. I do get some of that, though, Marlene. It's like, oh, just have a little peace, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And as a therapist, I've heard people going into recovery without, actually, I saw it a lot when I was a bartender back in the olden days, that somebody's trying to go through recovery and people are saying, you can just have one beer. And for some, nope, that's going to really derail me. But if we're having a moment, or a craving, and somebody says, oh, you need to gain some more, their reasoning might be something has absolutely nothing to do with you.
Right.
And yet you're the one that's going to suffer the consequences.
Right.
So
the other question I had, you kind of mentioned briefly that you're taking some medication to help with weight. Any comments or thoughts from other people about that?
Oh, I'm so surprised by this because I remember all of the diet drugs from years past and the horrible stuff. So, I love you guys. I trust you guys. But I did my own research on it. And it has far less side effects than the arthritis medicine I've been taking that I've now been able to give up. And it, I keep trying to explain to people, I don't really notice it. It's not a thing. In fact, if I'm honest, it might even have some kind of placebo effect on me that I think it's in there and I think it's working and therefore it is working.
Yeah, and then you go home and it's still in your pill.
I get the magic bean thing, well, I could lose that many pounds if I was taking magic beans. Maybe I should call them up and see. And I'm like, they do all of the blood work. They take all of these biometrics. This is a medically supervised program designed for each individual person. They're not just handing out sacks of magic beans down there.
No. So, Susie, you did share with some friends that you were taking weight loss medications.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the truth. I've stopped saying that when people say, "How do you?" I don't tell them because there's a lot of, oh my God,
And there's a lot of just writing off that your success is all due to that.
All due to that.
Right. Which we can attest that, it isn't what makes people lose weight.
No, and everybody's different. For instance, my partner, Carl, he likes to eat small meals all day. So that part is easy for him. And that's been the huge struggle for me, is taking my monster meal and dividing it up into fifths and trying to eat it regularly.
Right.
So everybody's going to have a different challenge.
Exactly. And that's why it's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
And so in that challenge, have you been as you're traveling around, been taking small meals or
Well, Brandy,
care packages for yourself?
Brandy has an answer for everything. I mean, every time I say, I can't, she goes, well, what about this? And she's given me a list of things that I can keep in the car that don't need refrigeration, because it's really, I mean, thank God for Starbucks. It's the only place when you're on the fly that you can find anything that you can grab and eat in your car. But I now keep a plastic box with all of Brandy's little items, and some of them are actually yummy, that I can eat at a stoplight. I can eat in the parking lot at the showrooms I go to. I get to somebody's house 10 minutes early. I park where they can't see my car, and I eat. It's really been helpful. It's really helpful. But she has an answer for all of that stuff.
I've been doing this a while.
Yeah.
So I want to circle back to the very beginning, because if I remember right, you were determined to fit into a dress.
Well, that was kind of my thing, because I needed to lose about, I figured, 5 or 6 pounds quickly, because I bought a dress that every year I have to go to this black tie thing, and for the last 3 years, I buy the dresses when they're on sale in January, and then I can't zip them when I wear them the following December. I was in danger of that happening again. It was just barely going. So that was the other motivation to get in. But then it felt so good.
Then it opened up, and a whole bunch of other things happened.
Yeah, it wasn't just to fit into, I mean, that was, you have a list of what are your goals. That was my immediate short-term goal, is I've got 2 weeks to pull the zipper the rest of the way up.
Right.
But it just went from there.
Which is, I think, a great lesson for anybody out there listening. If your primary goal is not, to have this life-changing experience, and that it might turn into that.
Yeah.
But if you don't start off with that as the goal, that's okay too.
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting the great results on the arthritis, because I came in very negative. I sat down, I remember, and I gave you a laundry list of things that I wasn't going to do.
Yes.
and you just kept going, that's fine. It's okay. We'll work around. And I kept waiting for you to go, well, this is not for you.
Deal breaker.
But no, there weren't any.
No.
I had my list of things, deal breakers for me, and you made them all work. So
you made them work.
Yeah.
I just gave you suggestions.
You gave me the tools.
Yeah.
You had an answer for every one of my negative things. Always, you go, well, you could do this.
Yeah.
Well, most of us get our information from the diet industry. And so their goal is to have you come back when you gain the weight.
Which is the opposite of our goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every week at the end of our show, we want to leave our listeners with what we call a takeaway, something of value that they could take at the end of the show. And Susie, I want to invite you this week to give our listeners a takeaway. So if you gave us and our listeners one thing that they could take away, what would it be?
Oh, geez. Anybody that's suffering from arthritis, really, and most especially, postmenopausal women that have arthritis, I know so many women that just live with so much pain on an everyday basis, and you really need to try this. There's no downside. There's nothing to lose. And, I mean, I haven't felt this good in 15 years and been able to exercise again and to hike. It's amazing. So you owe it to yourself to try that before it gets worse, before you find yourself homebound. It's just, the food can really help your situation improve so much.
Yeah, food is medicine.
Yeah.
That's great. That makes us feel wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great to have you here.
It's been
Brandy,
fun.
you have a few announcements for us.
Sure. We're going to have an open house where people can come and check out the clinic on March 21st from 2 to 7 p.m. And then again on April 6th. It's from 9 to 1. And we're also having a clothing drive that day. So if you have clothes that you can't wear anymore because they're too big and you'd like to donate them to a worthy cause, we're going to donate those professional clothes and accessories to a organization called Working Wardrobe, which is for homeless and otherwise displaced women that need nice clothes to go to work and to job interviews. So bring them on in, and we'll get them where they need to go.
Great. This has been a wonderful show. Once again, Susie, thank you for joining us. It's really
You're
been
welcome.
fun.
Thanks for having me.
Listening to your story.
I really
Thanks,
appreciate
Susie.
what this has done for me.
Okay. Everybody have a good week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you next Monday.
Thanks for listening to Weight Loss Conversations, brought to you by 3 Health Medical Weight Loss Solutions. We love hearing from our audience, so be sure to drop us a note. We so appreciate when you tell family and friends about our program. Also, don't forget that our past programs are found at 1150kknw.com. That's 1150kknw.com. Have a wonderful week and tune in next Monday at 8 a.m. That's 8 a.m. Monday. Be sure to visit our website at 3.health. That's THREE.health.
The content and opinions expressed during this program were those of the hosts, guests, and callers. They are not intended in any way to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.